Hi everyone, I'm Adriana Alvarado Garcia. I am a research scientist at IBM Research, and today I'm very excited of presenting the research paper Bitacora, a toolkit for supporting nonprofits to critically reflect on social media data use, which is part of my doctoral research. I'm presenting this work on behalf of my co-authors Marisol Villacres, Benjamín Hernández, and Christopher Dantec, my former advisor. In the last decade, there has been increasing research that praises the potential of user-generated content for informing the operation of nonprofit organizations in the humanitarian sector. Despite the increased development of computational methods and techniques, there has been less discussion about what would imply for organizations to adopt these tools and methods to render social media data actionable. Emerging exploratory work has stressed that nonprofit organizations and practitioners need to learn how to continuously challenge three assumptions about the power of social media data for informing humanitarian action. The first assumption is that computational methods and tools are enough to extract actionable insights from social media data. The second assumption is that social media data is flexible enough to provide insights about any possible humanitarian problem. And the third assumption is that social media data can provide lessons regardless of the social and cultural conditions that create it. The research that I will be presenting today describes the Bitacora Toolkit, which is addressed to support practitioners working at nonprofit and humanitarian organizations in unpacking and challenging the assumptions I mentioned in the previous slide about social media data, more specifically the data from the platform formerly known as Twitter. With this toolkit, our purpose was to guide practitioners to choose to incorporate Twitter data into their work only after understanding Twitter data limitations, data suitability to address the problems of practitioners' interest, and the context in which these data were produced. The design of the Bitacora Toolkit builds on 4 years of qualitative research. This research began with activists in Mexico who were increasingly using social media platforms to exchange information and self-organize to respond to local crises. Building on this initial understanding, I examined the implications of using social media data in a different context from its site of production. Later, I collaborated with the Accelerator Lab Mexico, which is part of the United Nations Development Program, where we conducted a study using social media data to understand how communities self-organize to respond to local crises. Based on the lessons from the field studies, I designed and evaluated the toolkit Bitacora to help practitioners decide whether Twitter data is appropriate for their work. The toolkit consists of 2 components. First, a manual that comprises an introduction to the toolkit, an introduction to social media data, a step-by-step description of the proposed data collection and analysis methodology, which I will describe in the following slide, and lastly, a set of qualitative analysis tools that support practitioners' documentation along the proposed methodology. In addition to the manual, the toolkit contained a web application that enabled practitioners to use 2 computational tools packed in 2 different modules. The Module 1 offers an interface for users to access, search, and download Twitter data from user-defined queries, and the Module 2 uses natural language processing to process Twitter data to find sentences that are semantically similar to the ones identified in Module 1. In combination, both modules aim to ease the process of filtering tweets to identify content similar to the problem that practitioners were examining. As mentioned in the previous slide, the toolkit proposed a methodology that promotes a situated analysis of Twitter data and supports practitioners in determining whether Twitter data is appropriate for their goals. The methodology I developed is a highly iterative data collection and analysis consisting of 3 steps that blended qualitative and computational analysis for examining and interpreting Twitter data from a contextualized perspective. The first step of the methodology consists on framing the problem and collecting a first dataset. The second step consisted on defining and documenting ground truth, and the third step consisted on conducting an in-depth qualitative analysis on a subset of tweets. For the evaluation of the toolkit, I conducted 2 evaluation studies. The first study was conducted exclusively with practitioners from the Accelerator Lab Mexico, with which I interned for over 9 months. And the second study was conducted with practitioners from 2 nonprofit organizations in Mexico, SocialTIC and CIEP. Both evaluation studies started with one introductory session, where participants learn about the proposed methodology, the implications of using social media data, and the evaluation timeline and goals. Following the introductory session, we had individual sessions in which participants used the toolkit independently, exploring the implications of integrating Twitter data into their work without mediators. Then we conclude with group sessions, where participants report on their experiences using the toolkit, present their preliminary findings, and ask questions and listen to each other's progress. Introductory and group session lasted between 60 and 90 minutes. In our findings, we report 3 different reactions from practitioners that the toolkit generates. Due to time constraints, I will provide an overview of these reactions, but I would like to encourage you to review the paper to find more details. The first participant's reaction was that at the early stages of the methodology, the toolkit requests to use constraints such as keywords and timeframes. This motivates practitioners to engage in deeper explorations of the problem. The second reaction is that as practitioners progress in the methodology, they tended to adjust their goals and notions of validity to Twitter's limitation rather than reflecting on the implication of their decisions. And the third reaction was that the request for a situated qualitative analysis at the last stages of the process did momentarily slow down practitioners' pragmatic expectations of social media data, but it also clarified the difficulties of adopting this artifact in the long run. Now, what drove practitioners to reject the toolkit as a viable long-term solution was the amount of time, labor, and care it demanded out of them, as well as the impossibility of the toolkit to produce pragmatic, discrete results that could hold quantifiable validity. However, there were design aspects of the toolkit that our findings suggest as helpful for motivating participants to reflect more deeply on the limitations and advantages of using social media data to address social problems. Now, again, due to time constraints, I will not be able to go into details about all of them, but I would like to encourage you to review the paper. For now, I will only present one design aspect that was successful at helping practitioners unpack the implications of using data from Twitter to inform their work. The toolkit's methodology was highly iterative, and by posing questions that require deep reflections, the toolkit motivates participants to continuously revise their motivations to use Twitter data and to calibrate their expectations. The methodology and the artifacts provided by the toolkit encourage practitioners to follow an iterative problem definition process that enables them to use Twitter data in non-deterministic ways. To summarize, the contribution of this work to researchers working to support non-profit organizations as they resist the push for technological innovation in the humanitarian sector are, first, the toolkit's design, which emphasizes situatedness and seeks to support practitioners in challenging a reductionist rhetoric behind social media data adoption. Second, an analysis of how non-profit staff members react to the toolkit-based intervention and reflect on their perspectives on Twitter data as an appropriate source of information. Lastly, a discussion on the possibility of a toolkit, such as Bitacora, to slow down social media data innovation, including the design aspects that were successful in driving an in-depth reflection about social media data use, visible design pathways for ensuring that the toolkit can have a long-term impact on nonprofit use of social media data. Thank you.